Oh my god.
I honestly never thought I'd go back to considering maining an ultra-wide monitor, but then this showed up and it's really, really good. It's the new LG GX9. It's 5K.
Really? Of all the games you could have showed, you showed fucking Starfield?
And it's OLED. It's basically the ultra-wide version of what I've been using at home, which is LG's 32-inch with dual mode, and I love that monitor. Being able to be super productive at 4K during the day and then just press
I don't
one
need a
button
4K
and
monitor.
then switch over to 480 Hz for ranked esports games. It's been the best monitor I've ever owned. So what does that mean for this one here? Well, first off, it's a big monitor, 45 inches with an 800R curve, and it's also the first OLED ultra-wide to have a 5K resolution. So 5120 by 2160, it is a lot of pixels. Typically on an ultra-wide, you'll get 3440 by 1440. So yeah, this is legitimately like going from a 1440p monitor to 4K. And
yeah, but what if I'm on
1080p? That does make a pretty big difference. I do have to say 45 inches is probably the limit of what I would want to have in terms of screen
I
size
should have a
on
stream
desk.
one day when I
Currently
finally
using
switch to a
32-inch or maybe
1440p
dual
monitor
screen
and
setup,
feel what it
is
is
still
like.
gonna feel like a pretty big upgrade in terms of how much screen you have to work with. But I think if you have a desk that is deep enough, you know, at least
I'm the last
80
survivor on
centimeters,
1080p.
then you can put the monitor a little bit further
Oh
back
my
if
god.
it does feel overwhelming. But yeah, 45 inches with a 5K resolution, that is a pretty insane combination. Now we have to talk about the design aesthetic because I think LG are really knocking it out of the park lately. And if there's any part of LG's like branding or product design
looks
department which
good.
is unsure about this clean of an aesthetic, you know, maybe it doesn't have enough branding or logos for them, all I can say
Fuck that.
is
I don't want any
please
branding.
keep doing it exactly like this. No chin bezel, no logos. You put this thing on a monitor arm, it looks super, super clean. Just like an edge-to-edge display with no RGB or logos on the front at all. It looks unbelievably clean. Now this whole dual mode monitor thing, I think is really cool because it allows the monitor to be less of a compromise for a wider range of tasks. By clicking one button, you can get a massive boost in refresh rate, and for esports games, it does really make a difference. A lot of people might see this as a gimmick or not really useful, but for me, it's literally the only reason I'm using the monitor I am at the moment. I can edit and do production work in 4K and then simply switch over to 480 Hz and run ranked esports games with almost no compromise.
Do you need 480 Hz
on a
to play esports games?
A bit weird at first and it doesn't look great on a 1080p monitor, but honestly, with how far back I have the monitor and how used to it I am
that's a
at this
little
point,
unnecessary,
it's
I'm
also
not
just
gonna lie.
an issue. So on this new ultra wide, you've got the main 5K mode that can run up to 165 Hz, and then if you press this button down here, it'll switch over to 2560 by 1080 at 330 Hz. Just like my 32-inch, it does this in about 2 to 3 seconds. So a quarter of the resolution for double the frame rate. It is a very noticeable switch, both in terms of the resolution drop and the smoother frame rate. Is it the #1 esports monitor? No, obviously not. It's a 45-inch screen. You do have to push it pretty far back for it to feel, you know, pretty comfortable in terms of focus and how fast everything is moving on the screen. But in the 330 Hz mode, it is definitely capable of playing esports games quite well. I say this because if you're someone who does play games at 4K or do a lot of work in 4K,
always
like
popping
myself,
off.
Also do play some esports with some friends, or you just enjoy playing those more fast-paced games, it is totally doable.
Yeah, but who plays Overwatch?
30 Hz mode. I also don't think it's an advantage or
nice
disadvantage
clean
to play
keyboard.
comp games on an ultra-wide. You do actually gain field of view on the sides in most games. The only bad thing I can think of is the increased GPU load and that your kill feed and player comms will be pushed off to the side where they might not be noticed as easily. At the end of the day, you can just switch over to 16 by 9 in those particular games if you want and play with black bars on the side. You can also downsize that 45-inch image all the way down to 24 inches to give you that small, focused esports feel, which is much easier to play competitively on. Except the pixel scaling in all of these modes is worse. In fact, it gets worse the smaller screen size that you go, which is super unfortunate. It kills me that these modes are pretty much unusable. To be honest, this is just pure laziness on LG's behalf because it's the exact same with my 32-inch model. And when I reviewed that, I made the exact same comments. Even the pixel scaling in the 45-inch mode is not perfect. 4 pixels at 5K should scale to 1 big square pixel in the 1080p mode, but it doesn't. It's a real shame because
Ew,
have shown
that
over and over
bleed.
again that you can get this right. This scaling between different screen sizes and resolutions.
That's how your
the
screen
same
looks like.
panel,
My
and they do it
1080p monitor
perfectly.
is
So
gorgeous,
I have
bro.
no idea
Fuck
how
you.
LG keep messing this up. Basically, all of these smaller screen modes are useless, and even the 2560 by 1080 at 45 inches could be sharper than it is. It's fine, but it could be even better.
Y'all pretending
So
like if
really
I
hope
get
they put the time aside to
1440p,
improve
suddenly
this
I'll be a better
with
gamer.
firmware update. The 5K mode is really where this monitor shines, though. You could buy it purely just for this main.
You
5K
will? No, you
165
won't.
mode.
It
looks
doesn't change
unbelievably
anything.
stunning on this monitor. I don't think there's a monitor I would choose.
There's
above
no
this
way
for
I
single
suddenly
player
become a
story
better
mode
gamer if I
open
get
world games. They look
1440p.
phenomenal. Games like Starfield, Cyberpunk, I mean, you compare it to how it feels and looks on a 34-inch 3440 by 1440 ultra wide, and this is
For you need any
significant
help you can
objective
get.
upgrade. The
You will be
experience
better.
is simply enhanced by opening up that field of view, running more pixels on a bigger screen.
Okay, I need to know how much this is. How much is it? I thought it would be way more. $2,000? I thought it would be way more. I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's actually surprising. Isn't the Samsung Odyssey like fucking $4,000? No, don't get me wrong. $2,000 is expensive as fuck for a monitor. My current monitor is $200. But I thought the Samsung Odyssey is like expensive as shit. Samsung Odyssey G9. Oh, what the fuck? Never mind. It's only $1,300 now. Huh. Well, it's you know, it's a bit more reasonable, but it's cheaper than Jing Liu, Pop. True, it's cheaper than my Jing Liu. No way. Shut the fuck up. For that lineup, that 5K monitor is like $400 more on average. Ooh. 32-inch 4K OLEDs are around 1K right now. Well, if I got a monitor upgrade, chat, being completely honest, I would just get probably a 32-inch 1440p. That's probably all I'd settle for. How much would that be? 32-inch 1440p monitor. Looking at $200 to $400, $200 to $350 ish. That's what I'd be expensing. That's actually not bad. Wow, man, 1440p monitors are pretty cheap now comparatively. 1080p monitors used to cost this when I got my monitor like 5 years ago.
Imagine if you didn't E6 your Jinglu.
Oh,
you
true.
can buy
Refresh
that 5K
rate. Refresh
monitor
rate.
in the near future.
I think
and
240
M6
hertz is
Evelyn
probably
instead.
the best. Yeah, we're looking at 240 hertz. We're looking at anywhere from $350 to $500, which, okay, that's a bit pricier. It's a bit pricier. Yeah, 144 hertz. What's 144 hertz looking like? 144 hertz. I could get a monitor at $230 for LG Ultra Gear. Samsung Odyssey at $250 for a 32-inch. That's not bad. That's not bad. LG has one for under 200. I have a 1440p 32-inch 144 hertz by LG. Was 240 Canadian dollars, so about $200 or less for US. Ooh. 27-inch is better for 1440p, to be honest. Why? I like 32-inch as like a... I think 32-inch is like my favorite monitor size. I don't know why. I think it's just generally the... I don't know. It's my favorite size.